I'm Primal Piggy. Thank you for joining me for another BDSM United podcast. Self esteem relates to how you feel about yourself, whether you like yourself. Being a submissive is not about being a doormat or being a lesser person. The sad thing is, many go through life feeling less than what they truly are. You are a god. You are a goddess. You're a magical being. You are awesome. You have so much potential. But where does our self-esteem actually come from? Growing up, we were given messages about who we are. These messages were given to us by our parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, teachers, ministers, radio, TV, and other areas of the media, something like magazines and images that we saw try to tell us or give us messages. Some of these messages were not good. If you ever heard something like Fatso, Four Eyes, Skinny Mini, Dumbo, you'll never amount to anything, you're useless, just like your father. Crybaby, boys don't cry. It's not okay for girls to get angry. Plus, it is the sexy, the charmed, the beautiful that we see in advertisements that make us believe that we are less than perfect. Those photoshopped and image enhanced models. Now, add to this equation those who were abused physically, verbally, emotionally, physiologically. No wonder so many submissives and just people in general have a poor image of themselves. Whether dominant or submissive, we've been shaped by our pasts. Unfortunately, many of us take the messages that we heard in our childhood into our adult lives and still believe some of these terrible things about ourselves. If we grew up in unhealthy families, we didn't learn how to communicate our feelings. We didn't see healthy forms of intimacy or parenthood. We didn't see communication modeled, at least not correctly. This makes for a near impossibility of having a good DS or MS relationship, let alone any other kinds of relationships. If a submissive has low self esteem, it'll hinder a DS relationship. So if a submissive does not find a healthy or a real dominant, they'll not be fulfilled and actually be very miserable in their submission and perhaps their existence. However, with the right dominant, they'll flourish and they'll grow and become the person they always wanted to be. And remember, the dominant needs to be healthy also in order to help them accomplish this. If the submissive believes things like, I should never ask my Dom for any kind of help, I should not use my safe word, I can't disagree with my Dom, I should not have any limits, I always have to be perfect, I must be super submissive, I'm worthless if I make a mistake. Well, it'll more than likely result in stress and physical ailments such as headaches, stomach aches, maybe high blood pressure. And as a submissive, one desires to please their dominant, but not to the extent of sacrificing your own person. Once you've progressed through various forms of BDSM, you may want to or have a strong innate desire to give up your own person to enter into a master slave or an owner property relationship, but it shouldn't be because of your lack of self-esteem. It should be because you're a powerful, empowered person. You can serve your dominant, but not give up your identity. A good dominant really wouldn't expect this anyways. They're going to know that if you're entering into a master slave or an owner property situation and they're a good dominant in that situation, they're going to see you as an empowered individual. Now, don't misunderstand me. This doesn't mean that a submissive should not be the best submissive that they can be, but they need to allow themselves to be human and they need to maintain balance in their life and in all that you do. Submissives will make mistakes. A submissive can discuss limits, they can discuss concerns, they can talk about worries in a very respectful manner. Look for a dominant who understands all of this. Otherwise, you may just keep hearing the same unhealthy messages repeated over and over again. And if you don't hear them from outside, you'll definitely hear them in your own mind. Now, then, how does one improve their self esteem? What things can you do to change the way you feel about yourself? There are a couple of great ways. One is called self talk, another self affirmations, and yet another self love. Self talk is internal conversations that you have with yourself. These dialogues can actually really affect your thoughts and behaviors. When you give yourself positive messages, such as everything will work out, I know I can do the job, you give yourself uh, room to succeed and success are your will. Um, when your self-talk is negative and you say, I know I'm having a terrible time, I'm not even smart enough to do this, you're giving up on yourself. And most likely you're not going to succeed. It's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Positive self-talk takes discipline and practice. Whenever you notice that you're giving yourself a negative message, flip it around, change it, say something positive to yourself. You'll feel so much better about yourself, and actually you'll have far less stress. A second tool that you can use is affirmations. These are positive input that you give yourself each day to remind yourself that you are a good person, that you do have abilities, that you do have possibilities, that you do have potential. You can buy cards that have affirmations on them, or you can write them out for yourself on like sticky notes and look yourself in the mirror each morning, repeat them to yourself, just stick them right on the mirror. Giving yourself these messages will help you to believe them, to believe in yourself and who and what you are. You can say things like, I'm a wonderful submissive. The more I have, the more I have to give. All things are now working together for good in my life. I have a wonderful job. It's okay for me to have fun and enjoy myself. I am whole and complete in myself. I love and accept myself just as I am. I'm a beautiful person inside and out. I'm a good person. Now, that's just a few examples, but you can add to them to suit the areas you need to build your self esteem in. The important thing is to look at yourself in the mirror every day and repeat these things to yourself. What happens after a period of time is that you'll begin to believe what you're actually telling yourself, just as you learn to believe those horrible things that people said to you in the past, but positive things, not negative. And it seems strange saying these things at first because you've been led through one means or another to believe just the opposite. But try it; it really does work. And if you're a dominant, try and you notice that your submissive is having a lot of negative emotions and is saying a lot of negative things or having a negative self image about themselves, task them to do affirmations. Lastly, self love. This is acknowledging and praising yourself verbally. Self love is having confidence in your ability, it's giving yourself pleasure without guilt. It's loving your body and seeing its good qualities. It's giving yourself what you want and feeling you in a feeling that you deserve. Self love is letting others in Instead of submitting to loneliness, it's seeing your own spirituality. It's taking credit for what you did, surrounding yourself with beauty, rewarding yourself for a job well done, trusting yourself, nourishing yourself, seeing yourself as equal to others, forgiving yourself, letting in affection, developing your own creative desires. Self love is really talking to yourself lovingly and gentle. Self love is turning all of your negative thoughts into positive affirmations. These are just a few tools that you can use to make yourself more of who you are, to bring out the real you. And if you're pleasing to yourself, you'll be pleasing to others. It's a long road to repairing the damages of the past. It can be done, and the brightest future will always be based on a forgotten past. Really, the past is deceptive because you only remember the parts of it that from one perspective. Even though the past has many different perspectives, you only remember what you saw from the one angle, from the one um, from the one place where you are, or you saw, or you felt the things. You don't know all of the context. You often don't remember the context. You just remember the one bad, or the one memory, the one message, either good or bad in the past. The past is deceptive. The future is also deceptive because it's conditional. It can change in a moment's notice. Any little circumstance can change your future, but you got to live in the present, and you got to be mindful of the present. The present is where you are right now, and doing things in a positive way in the present it won't change your past, but it'll definitely affect the conditions of your future. I'm Primal Piggy. Thank you for joining me for this really unique BDSM United podcast where we talk about self-esteem, and we talk about self-love and affirmations. All of these are really good tools. If you're a submissive, task yourself to do these things for yourself. If you're a dominant, then encourage your submissive to become empowered. And as a dominant, you should do a lot of these things too, because you need to be healthy. Hurts and wounds will often inflict hurts and wounds. If you've been abused, you may be apt to abuse others. And so, if you have a lot of negativity as a dominant, you may bring a lot of negativity into your relationship dynamic. I'm Primal Piggy. Thank you for joining me. You can find all of our resources at www.bdsmunited.com. Like, share, comment, and, share this. This is a really important podcast. Please share it. It was a joy speaking with you today, and I'll talk with you again soon.